Hello, hello, hello. This is Tyree, the super entrepreneur, Thomas Jr., coming to you live, making the first broadcast of many, doing a continuation of Tyree, the super entrepreneur. My name is Tyree Thomas Jr. I am an online internet marketer and entrepreneur. I'm going to give you a little history about myself. I first came online in 1998, as basically everyone else did, using YouTube. No, well, not YouTube. YouTube wasn't around then, but I was using Yahoo, had an email address. And I figured that was a way to do some things online, so I wanted to know more about it. But let's back up a little bit. Give you a little more information. Now, um, excuse me, that was a replay of me going in another window. As I said, I'm going to give you a little history of me. I spent about, let's say about 10 years in the corporate field. But to go back a little further, how my journey of entrepreneurship started, my mother was a lady that was an entrepreneur. She was also a worker, and I got that entrepreneur seed from her. She worked a little bit. She worked a whole life as an employee in the grocery industry, cashier, manager, and things like that. Here in Houston, they had a grocery chain called Wine Garden, then which eventually went to be Kroger. And my mother was in that industry, but what she always did was have her own way of generating income just in case. She dealt with home interior. She also dealt with another home-based business called Tiara, where they were selling little crystals. They would have home parties and things like that. My mother was very successful with home interior. She had built a team and things like that. And at that time, I really had no understanding what a home-based business was and what she was doing. I also had an opportunity to be exposed to it by way of Tupperware. My very best friend's mother was a very, very successful Tupperware distributor. But my journey into entrepreneurship started when I was 16. I had my own little catering business where I would make little sandwiches and little treats and things like that and have those ready for school. So when I got to school, I would sell those and make sure that everyone had breakfast and things like that. Well, not realizing that I was being an entrepreneur. I did this to have extra income and because I wanted to have my own income and not really bother my mother or my father. But I wanted to have that, so that's what I did to generate income. Fast forward a little bit more, I entered into the corporate field also around about the age 17. But this is what I did. Before I graduated high school, I had a dream that I had a vision of being wealthy enough to fulfill my dream of being rich. And that was a problem. That problem was that it was not going to happen off the $10 a week that I was getting from my mother, which is why I went into my own entrepreneur business. And I also went into work, just everyone else, being a career business builder, working, building someone else's business as an employee. But I recognized something. Everyone was going to college. So I figured if I went to college, I would be successful. I figured if I went to college and got that degree, that would be the thing that would push me over the edge, that would make me be successful. So upon graduating high school, having scholarships, athletic and academic, I learned one thing when I got to college. When you get to college, you're going to do a lot of learning, but you won't do a lot of earning. So again, I still had to deal with being an entrepreneur, but I learned another thing in college. Everyone in college is learning something, but are you learning a skill along with learning theoretical knowledge? And I realized that I wasn't doing that. So what did I do? The classes that I had to take that semester, the industry that I wanted to enter, I realized that that was no experience gaining in college. No professor was going to work with me or take me to work with them to gain experience in the industry that they were teaching me about. So what I did, I took the classes and I went and found a job in that same industry so that at the same time, yes, and I was still playing athletics. At the same time, I would get in a college education But at the same, and on the other hand, I would get a skill to fit with that education. I ran into one aha moment, one epiphany, one thing that I did see in real life. What I was learning in college did not match up with the skills that were needed in that same industry. That's right. What I was being taught in college did not match up with what I needed as a skill set to maintain a steady employment in that same industry. Again, I'll say no one in college was working with me on what I was being taught in college. And because of that, that did not transfer into a skill from college to the workforce. That's right. So what did I realize? What I learned in college was different from what I was going to be required to do when I got a job. So as I learned different things in college, I made sure I had a job in that same area. So when it come time to getting a job, I realized that I needed to have experience. So when it come time to have an interview, not only did I have the paperwork to say that I had studied some information in an educational institution about this particular job that I was applying for, but I also had experience on the same level to have that job. But I spent about 10 years in the corporate field. By now, I was approaching my late 20s, and I spent about 10 years in that corporate field. But I realized this: no matter how much effort I put into uh, building building a career, it was not going to be on my benefit because within those 10 years of graduating high school, and then going into my late 20s, I was laid off, or shall I say downsized. It's still the same thing as being laid off because once you're downsized, your next step is to be laid off. I was laid off twice, and then I was excused twice. Yes, that's right. Once you do all that you can do for a company and you reach a certain level of income, if your income is more than what they want to pay you for the production that you're producing, and you'll be producing a lot of, you will produce, and especially if you're in a high level position as I was a high level executive. Yes. See, I had experience as a restaurant manager, managing someone else's restaurant. They had a chain of restaurants, and I was managing all of those chains. I also had the experience of working as a insurance agency manager. Yes, I owned my own insurance agency, but even then, even if it's your own agency, you still can only do what that agency or what that insurance company allow you to do. Hold on one moment. This is live. Hello, Miss Beth.
Well, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Can I call you right back? I'm doing a live hangout.
That'll be fine. Thanks.
Okay. If you look at that link that I sent you, you will see where it is, and all you have to do is opt in on that link. I'm doing a live hangout right now.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye. See, that's the beautiful part about working at home, having your own home-based business. You don't have to answer to anyone. And even though this is live, I'm showing you that this is live, and I'm broadcasting this from my home office. See, I work from home, but I'm also able to reach through the internet and work with people through the internet and show them how to do the same. And at the same process, I can also transfer my skills off the internet. But back to what I was telling you, I worked and I did work. I really did work and build those businesses. I built an agency, insurance agency, which I ended up selling. I also built a restaurant chain, helped build a restaurant chain, to which I ended up getting out of because there was no future for me. No matter how much work I was putting out, it wasn't matching the income that was coming in. So I learned that there was four different types of industries, and I worked in all four. There was the transportation industry, there's the food service industry, and there is the airplane, or shall I say, airplane industry. The air industry. So you got planes, trains, um, yeah, planes, trains, boats. And I also worked for a shipping company. And then you have planes, trains, boats. and what's the other industry? There are four other words. There are four ways to fuel the economy: by trucks, by boats, by trains, and by planes. Planes can fly in the air, but they can't roll on the ground. Boats can float in the water, but they can't float on the ground. Trains can roll on tracks on the ground, but they can't roll on the streets. Trucks are the only ones that can roll on the streets, and trucks are the only ones that can go to each one of those industries, to the airplane industry, to the boat industry, to the train industry, and get that product and bring it to you, or bring it to any place where they had to go. And say, I realized this when I was an employee for other businesses. So what I realized is that if I wanted to make it big, if I wanted to be able to give back, if I wanted to make it to where everyone can benefit and not be a benefit of. And let me say that again. If I wanted to help everybody, because I worked in all four of those industries, if I wanted people to be able to benefit like I did, and the reason why I wanted people to benefit like I did is because I didn't want anyone to experience what I experienced, that feeling that I experienced when I had to walk away from someone else's business that I put my all in all. And when I walked away, there was nothing that I could carry with me but my skill and experience. It's not a good feeling when you realize that you've done all that you could to benefit someone else, someone else's business. Yes, you agreed to it, but one thing you didn't agree to is having it all taken away from you once you reach a certain point. Because see, I also worked as a legal assistant. I was a certified legal assistant, a certified paralegal, other words, a glorified lawyer without the title, but yet the responsibilities. A glorified lawyer without the income, but yet the experience. A glorified lawyer that is in position to understand the law, but you cannot present the law. That's what a paralegal is. You're a halfway lawyer. Para mean almost there, half there. And I realized that being doing that was not going to benefit me because I had also had a vision of being a lawyer. Yes, I did. And there was no problem with that. But this is the thing about being a lawyer. The only way you're gonna if you don't if you the only way you generate income is when you're actually there to work because you're a specialist. Yes. And if you don't have anyone else working for you, the only time you're gonna generate income is if you're doing the work. Right. You want to be able to benefit all the time. As a paralegal, I wanted to start a paralegal firm to where paralegals can be there and be able to be sought after by lawyers and do the work for the lawyers. And that means that I will have a lot of people working for me. But this is the thing. It still puts people in position to not be able to benefit for themselves. And that's not what I was about. I wanted to benefit, but I wanted everyone else to also benefit. And if everyone can't benefit equally or benefit and be paid for their own efforts in the right way, then that's not something I wanted to be a part of, which is why I realized that working a job for the rest of my life was not going to get it. Working for someone else was not going to fulfill the life that I wanted to live. Working for someone else was also being controlled by someone else's ideas. I couldn't use my ideas to do what I wanted to do. And if I used my ideas on their job, I had to have permission for them to use my mind. I had to have permission for them to make their business better. I had to have permission from them to be able to evolve into the person that I was created to be. Now, what does that say? Am I the only one that has to have permission to think on someone else's job? No, but a lot of people don't realize that. So again, in my later 20s, I decided I was going to go out and start my own business, and I did. I started my own trucking company. Now I have a lot of different experiences, but one thing that I didn't plan on experience, one experience I didn't plan on gaining, one experience that I had not even thought of, or at least I didn't think it would happen to me, is having an experiencing a certain experience in life to where you can't produce anymore. And because you can't produce, everything is taken away, everything is lost, and you have nothing to hold, nothing that you're able to hold on to. You see, I was not a victim, but I was in a car accident. and I was a passenger in that car accident. I was not supposed to be here, but I survived that accident after being resuscitated a few times on the side of the road. This is the thing. I've come back from being paralyzed, having amnesia, and I had to learn how to live and think and do everything all over again. Even my little 5 year, how was she? My baby daughter, my 5 year old daughter, had to give me medication. Like they had to take care of me. Yes, my mother had to raise me for a second time because I was not in position. I was not in health wise. I didn't even know who I was to be able to take care of myself. So I had to learn all over again. Now in the process of that, I had worked my way up to 4 18 wheelers, had just paid them off and everything. The problem is if trucks don't roll, income does not come. And because I was the main source that was creating the income, because I was the main source that was going out getting the loads, I was the main source of my business that was building my business. No one else knew what to do. Everyone was benefiting from the income, but no one was learning how to create the income. This is another thing that I was doing with my own equipment, with my own time. I had part of my trucks leased to to a company, but I also got my own authority. And this is why. When you're a trucker and you have your trucks leased to a company, they own that truck through paper. And you can't do anything with that truck that they say you can't do it, even though it's your property. I wanted to use my equipment, my property, my belongings to train and help other people be in the same position to have theirs. I learned two things in that experience. Number one, I was again just a specialist. The only time I would generate income is if I was at work. When that truck set, I generated no income. I was no different from a doctor or a lawyer. Another thing I learned is when I had an idea to teach guys how to better themselves by getting a skill to learn how to drive, I learned that I still had to have even permission from that trucking company to use my truck. And this is the thing that got me. I'm teaching guys how to drive with my own time, my own equipment, and my own money. These guys would then get their own truck and go to work for the same company that my truck was leased to. But the company wanted me to have permission from them to use my own truck to teach somebody else how to drive that was going to come to work for them. And they were not spending a dime to help to benefit those guys to come work for them. I'll say that again. I'm training guys with my own time, my own equipment, my own money to learn how to drive trucks. The guys would go and apply to the company where my trucks were, or maybe another company. But because I was doing this, the company didn't like the idea that even though my truck was leased to them, they didn't give me position to teach someone to come work for them. They didn't give me permission to teach someone to come to work for them. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm the guy that wants to be able to help everyone because someone helped me. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm the guy that's a people person. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm the guy that realized that there's a system of life that we were born into, and that system of life is what we are taught to live by. And because of that, that system of life is created to control the life that they are handing us that we have to live. But we're not told that we can create our own life because within us is vested a skill of creation by God. And yes, I do believe in God. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm a Christian. So what did I do? Fast forward. After I got back to a point of knowing who I was after the accident, I realized that I did not want to go through the trucking industry again. Why? Because not only was I not allowed to be able to do what I wanted to do with my own trucks, and even though I had my own authority, I could only ride, my trucks could only move around the clock when the government said. And there were a lot of changes being put in place. CSA 2010, look that up. CSA 2010, it started in 2010. Understand what the purpose of that was. You see, at one particular time, out of the airplane industry, out of the transportation industry by way of trucks, out of the train industry, and out of the boat industry, only three industries had regulations that the government could control: the planes, the trains, and the boats. The government had control of those, so they knew how much income was going into the economy. They didn't have control of the trucking industry, so therefore they didn't know how much income was going into the economy. Reason why they didn't know how much is because there was no regulation to say when trucks could or could not roll. So trucks could roll 24 hours a day and not be monitored. All of that changed, which is why I'm getting to the point that I'm at now. I decided, yes, I decided I wanted my life to be better than what it was being. And after I got back to a certain point, I got back online, never did leave online. In 2003, I was online searching for a way to generate an income because I had to take care of my family. That accident left me disabled. I became a heart patient because, boom, from the impact of the dashboard and the motor and all that hitting me in the chest, it damaged me internally and it damaged my heart. A big impact. So again, I had to learn how to generate income because I was not able to be able to pass a physical to be able to drive, and neither did I want to, because I want if you live 24 hours a day, you want to be able to earn 24 hours a day. How can you do that? You can't work 24 hours a day without sleep, but there are systems that are in place that can do the work for you. Again, you can work 24 hours a day without sleep, but there are systems that you can put in place to work for you. And because those systems can be put online, you can have something being done on your behalf 24 hours a day. Even when you sleep, the internet online is still active. And even when you sleep, those systems can be put on automation and generate an income for you. And at the same time, those systems are duplicatable. You can help everyone else learn how to do the same. So what am I speaking of? I looked online and I found an opportunity to become a blogger. The internet is 24 hours a day. It's worldwide. It's everywhere. And if you're able to generate an income through the internet without having to have any regulations, just saying when you can and you can't, then you are there thus far able to be a 24-hour liver, a 24-hour earner, a 24-hour individual that has no one controlling your life. You're not accepting a career that was handed to you. You're not accepting a system of control that you were born into. You're not accepting what you're being told you have to do. You are therefore become an entrepreneur so you can do what you want to do. You can do what you can do, and you can do what you should do, which is evolve into a better person daily. And in the process of that, because this information that I'm speaking of is duplicatable, you can also help someone else be able to duplicate that system and better their life. You see, when you're in school, you're learning a skill called reading and writing, but how many times is someone teaching you how to use that skill to benefit yourself financially? There are three industries that has really come and taken place and put people in position to generate an income unlimitedly. You have an industry by way of blogging, and I'll explain that to you. You have an industry by way of coffee. Anyone can be in the coffee industry. You also have telecommunications. See, you remember that way at one time there was no such thing as Sprint. There was no such thing as T-Mobile. There was no such thing as AT&T, and there was no such thing as Verizon. That industry has become a part of everyday life now. You see people with mobile devices all the time, and this is what I'm about. I understand how to tap into that industry as an individual and also that any individual can tap into. Yes, you can tap into that industry and benefit. You can have your own business just like T-Mobile and T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, and these other companies. Then there's the coffee industry. You've heard of Folgers, you've heard of Maxwell House, you've heard of Community Coffee, you heard of all of these different coffee companies. But were you able to tap into that industry? No. Could you be an entrepreneur only if you had enough money? Could you? And see, coffee is so strong that if you pay attention, McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, all these different companies around has now brought coffee to the forefront of the face of their company, and no longer Ronald McDonald, no longer the Burger King, or no longer a Subway sandwich. You see, as a matter of fact, you look at Dunkin' Donut. Dunkin' Donut now has removed the donut from being the icon of their business to a cup of coffee. That's right. Their logo, their icon, the face of their business is a cup of coffee and not a donut, but yet they're a donut company. And if you go on Dunkin' Donuts website, you won't be able to order donuts. You'll order coffee. That's right. So you have the telecommunications industry, you have the coffee industry. How can you tap into that? Yes, you can, but this is the thing. No matter if you tap into it, the way you have to understand it is to read and write. So if you understand how to read and write, you can benefit in those industries. That's where blogging come in. Blogging is just basically a blog site, like a website. A website you have on the internet you cannot update daily. You cannot have current information, and it takes a lot of effort to put a website together. But blogging is a web blog. It's like an online journal. You have a blog and you have different posts that you add to the journal. Imagine having a sheet of paper. Imagine having a notebook that has a lot of sheets of paper in it. Imagine each one of those sheets of paper being blank. That big old notebook is just like a physical blog in your hand and on a physical journal. You take information and you put on each one of those pages and you let people see it. Well, on a blog, when you originally get a blog, it's just a blank screen on the internet. And just like when you want to write on a sheet of paper, you get a tool like a pencil, something that can write a script. Well, with that blog, you have different operations, different systems like a script writing system. If you want to write, you have a system. If you want to put pictures on it, you have a system of that would place pictures on that blog. That was called plugins. If you want to put videos on that blog, you have a system that you would plug into that would allow it to video to play on that blog. That's what you would have to do with a blog. But if you can have a blog that already comes assembled with all of that and other extra things, all you have to do is just use it. Then how would that be a benefit? Because see, one other thing, when you have a blog, you have to do one of two things. You have to have a place to put it on the internet so that you can, it's called hosting, so that it can always be seen on the internet. And that costs monthly. With my blog, it's already self-hosted. You don't have to pay. The other thing is that if you have a blog, you get it through a blog and you get it through a service like Google, um, a WordPress or something like that, you have to update and maintain that blog yourself. My blogging system updates and the maintenance and everything is already taken care of for you. And yes, by the way, this will allow you to be an entrepreneur. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm a person for the people, a people that a person that the people can depend on and turn to, because I'm attached to a lot of other people just like myself that want people to benefit from their own efforts in the right way. Now, back to the blog. The other thing you would come to understand is if you use a person's blog, if you use a company's blog, you can only do on that with that blog what that company tells you to do. And if you're generating income with that blog, they can take all of that away from you. With this blogging system, is your home on the internet. You have the right to do what you want to do and put whatever content you want on it. And because it's duplicatable and it comes with education, you learn and earn at the same time. Also, because not only does it come with education, it comes with mentors that help you, that work with you, that create relationships with you. See, I didn't have that in college. I didn't have anyone working with me outside of college. I didn't have a professor that come outside the classroom and show me what they did. But I did have a dean that talked to me and gave me an understanding of what I was not learning in college. And that understanding was you're learning theoretical knowledge, but you're not learning practical knowledge. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I know the theoretical like I know the practical. And what I also know is that personal self-development is a must, but as yet it's not being taught. That's right. Personal self-development is a must, but it's not being taught. Write this down. Dumbing Us Down by John Gatto. Get that book. Dumbing Us Down by John Gatto. That's right. Dumbing Us Down by John Gatto. Go to alibris.com and you can find that book. Not Amazon. Go to alibris.com and you can find that book extremely cheap. Get the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Again, go to alibris.com, not Amazon, but alibris.com. Get that book and you'll understand why you have to why you'll understand the rewards of being an entrepreneur, the rewards of thinking for yourself. Then you'll also come to understand that you are actually living within a system of control. Also, go to alibris.com, not Amazon. Go to alibris.com and get the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That's right. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I'm going to give you one more book nugget. Go to alibris.com, not Amazon. Go to alibris.com and get the book Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. Start off with those four books. I'm going to give you one more. How about I give you one more bonus? The Guide to Mental Toughness by Daniel Tarleton-Baum. Those five books you can get from alibris.com. The Guide to Mental Toughness by Daniel Tarleton-Baum. The Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Dumbing Us Down by John Gatto. Um, the Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. And Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He also has a part two to that called the Cash Flow Quadrant. But concentrate on Rich Dad Poor Dad first. You'll understand why I'm telling you about blogging because see, no matter what skill, no matter what business you're in, you have to learn to you're gonna read it and you're gonna have to sign your name to get into that business, which is called and sign your name is writing. If you understand how to use your reading and writing skills and you have a tool by way of a blog, you can benefit yourself. And then if you have training that teach you how to use that blog, you are then therefore in position to be free, free of being controlled. You can be the entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? A person that solves problems, a person that has an answer for challenges that people can't overcome. And because of that, you'll be able to generate an unlimited amount of income because there are an unlimited amount of people that has an unlimited amount of problems that need to be solved. And if you understand how to use that blogging as a tool, and you have the education and you have the mentor to help you do that, you would not ever have to be without. You can remove that word poverty out of your vocabulary. You can remove that word poor out of your vocabulary. You can do away with the thoughts of can't have, can't get, will not ever have. That's why personal self-development is important. And as I come to a close, I've had you for 35 minutes. Go to TyreeThomasJr.com. That's right, TyreeThomasJr.com. Again, TyreeThomasJr.com. I'm a Christian and you'll find that. Go to TyreeThomasJr.com and you'll see my blog. Read those blogs and you can also subscribe to my blogs to get updates. This is not about selling right now. This is about getting your attention, establishing a relationship. You'll see banners on there that you can click and get more information if you want to get a blog. Because see, not only am I a blogger, I'm a builder. I build businesses, I build people's lives, and I build their opportunity to be people. I also build their relationships with myself, with them, and myself. I help them understand how to do that. I also help them build a relationship with God. Why? Because if it wasn't for God, I would not be here. So, who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm the person that cares about you. I'm the person that wants to help see you through. I'm that person that wants you to become a part of what I'm a part of. Become a part of my team. Become a part of the individuals that I'm teamed with. Become a part of the individuals that care about how you feel. Become a part of the individuals that can see what you go through. Become a part of the individuals that will tell you the things you need to hear to get you where you want to go, to help you become who you want to become. We are all human becomers, but because There are things that get in the way of you becoming a human you were created to be. You'd never reach that point if you don't have other humans reaching out to you and helping you get to that point. Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? Who is Tyree Thomas Jr.? I'm that person amongst other people attached in the community that wants you to become a part of us, become a part of what I'm a part of. Join me. Go to my blog, read it, click on it, take an opportunity, subscribe to my blog, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Keep with these updates. You subscribe to my blog, I'm going to give you updates. This is my TV station, my internet TV station. I can show you how to do the same. I'm going to go now, but I want you to think about this. People don't fit in life because of the lies they were told. They fit in life because of the truths they were told but failed to believe and act upon. And last but not least, it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you, it's what you leave behind you when you go. And I want to leave a legacy of helping a lot of people become the best humans that they are created to become. TyreeThomasJr.com. Click on my blog, subscribe to my blog, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also on my blog, there's a form where you can leave me a voice message. TyreeThomasJr.com signing out. I've kept you 40 minutes. Thank you and be blessed.